Back in the old days, when I was young and naive, I believed things about this world that just weren't true. The first falsehood that I believed was that women don't belong in the kitchen. The second falsehood I believed was that everyone had an internal, almost innate, stupid limit. Like eventually, someone's stupidity would just max out. Of course, dumber individuals would have a higher stupid limit, but at the end of the day, everyone eventually reaches a point where they no longer say anything dumber than the last time they opened their mouth. Those old days looked a lot like yesterday, because both of those things that I believed have been exposed as lies by one individual today, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. First of all, whose idea was it to let women out of the kitchen? I mean, first we give women the right to vote, and next we get women like this. Secondly, obviously it was ignorant bliss for me to believe anyone actually has a stupid limit. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez manages to say something dumber than the last thing she said every single hour. What's up everybody, it's Hunter Avallone here, back with another video. Only 2 months ago, I made a video where I explained why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is an idiot. This video gathered over 1 million views and had a very interesting comment section. A lot of people agreed with what I said, while others called me out and disagreed with what I said. Despite what anyone said in the comments section or in their response videos, I still stand 100% with what I said. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a raging idiot, and she gives us proof of this every waking hour. Whether it's the Green New Deal or her remarks about illegal immigrants, Cortez is like a magician with consistent tricks up her sleeve. Ladies and gentlemen, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has struck again. We begin with her first recent blunder, the Green New Deal. Reading into this deal, it became obvious to me how Cortez came up with it and how she chose the name Green New Deal. She was high as balls when she wrote this. It's literally the only logical explanation. Now, for those who don't know, the Green New Deal is a set of proposed economic stimulus programs in the United States that aims to address climate change and economic inequality. Now, I know right off the bat I'm going to receive a ton of comments. Some like, "What are your thoughts on climate change?" Others like, "Hunter thinks climate change is real? What a cock!" And still other comments from the left like, "Hunter's a climate change denier? What a loser." Also, my dad beats me. My actual thoughts and opinions on climate change are still pending, and I think that's a discussion that's best saved for another day. I do think we should follow the evidence, however, and trust the hard facts and the cold data. I really don't like how climate change has become a left versus right issue. I personally don't think it should be politicized. That being said, there will always be disagreements and disputes on how to best solve said problem. But Cortez has managed to take it to the next extreme.
I think that the part of it that is generational is that millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And like, this is the war. This is our World War II.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. We only have 12 short years left before this entire planet explodes into a toxic ball of greenhouse gases. I absolutely love how the left worships Cortez like she's the second coming of Latina Jesus Christ. In reality, Jesus over here is nothing more than a recycled Al Gore. You may not remember, but in 2006, Al Gore made a similar prediction, claiming we only have 10 years to save the planet. No matter what you think of climate change, these pathetic fear tactics are nothing more than cowardice attempts to push legislation. Why don't we have an honest conversation about climate change instead of making faux predictions meant to appeal to ignorant losers' anxiety? On February 7th, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced her Green New Deal. Again, despite the left fawning over this proposal, it's really nothing special, and it's quite similar to previous climate change efforts introduced. Only this Green New Deal has an extra splash of retardation from Cortez herself. A fact document printed out by Cortez's office and handed to media outlets promised Americans economic security even if they were unwilling to work. Well, alright, looks like the blacks will finally have money. That was only a joke. Calm down. But seriously, you gotta be smoking some dank kush to think any of this makes sense. Why don't we just give everyone money? Let's just make everyone wealthy. What is even the purpose of money? At another point, the fact was trying to explain why the goal was net zero emissions rather than none at all, and said that was because we aren't sure we'll be able to fully get rid of farting cows and airplanes that fast. Well, if Cortez wants to get rid of farting cows, she should start with herself. Even more telling was how much of a hypocrite Cortez is. In her proposal, she outlines multiple different goals, including that transportation emissions should be reduced as much as is technically feasible, and suggests 3 ways of reaching that goal, including high-speed rail and zero-emission vehicles, which would include electric cars. Alright, bravo! Good idea, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Let's change up our transportation system. Let's cut down on emissions. How about you do us all a favor though? If you're gonna talk the talk, maybe first you should walk the walk. According to New York Post, since declaring her candidacy in 2017, Ocasio-Cortez's campaign heavily relied on those combustion engine cars, even though a subway station was just 138 feet away from her Elmhurst campaign office. In all, Ocasio-Cortez spent nearly $30,000 on those emission-spewing vehicles, along with car and van rentals, even though her Queens headquarters was a 1-minute walk to the 7 train. What? But I thought high-speed rails would help cut down on emissions. I thought the world was going to end in 12 years if we don't get this under control. The Democratic firebrand or her staff took Amtrak far less, only 18 times, despite high-speed rail being the cornerstone of her Save the World strategy. Even more so, on March 3rd, Cortez left a parade in a 17-mile-per-gallon minivan only blocks from the subway. And just the other day, Cortez arrived in a gas-guzzling SUV to speak about climate change. If that isn't enough hypocrisy for you, another goal outlined in her proposal is to create millions of good, high-wage jobs and ensure prosperity and economic security for all people of the United States. In November of last year, Cortez assumed a leadership role in efforts to combat Amazon's plans to build a new headquarters in Queens. Amazon promised to create 25,000 high-paying jobs, while the area would receive a $2.5 billion investment and benefit from an incremental tax revenue of $10 billion. In return, Amazon would receive incentives, but if the company did not create the promised amount of jobs, they would not receive the incentives. Even more so, majority of New Yorkers supported the deal, according to Siena College Research Institute. Cortez claims Amazon gave no guarantee that these jobs would be given specifically to New Yorkers, which is a fair point, but her Green New Deal specifically calls for economic security for all people of the US. Even more so, the Amazon headquarters would offer trickle-down economic growth as well. For example, building the facility would offer countless entry-level jobs. Cortez also claims rent will go up, and while the cost of living may increase, so will wages. Despite the countless ways New York could have benefited from Amazon headquarters, the deal fell through partly because of Cortez, according to an Amazon spokesman. Cortez claims she wants to provide economic security for the people of America, while in the next breath chasing away thousands of potential jobs. It's really quite hypocritical, and it's really quite sad. We now move on to Cortez's second recent blunder. On March 14th, during a congressional hearing, Alexandria Cortez actually claimed that illegal immigrants are her constituents.
Mr. Kobach later sent an email to you on July 14th, writing that the lack of the citizenship question, quote, leads to the problem that aliens who do not actually reside in the United States are still counted for congressional apportionment services. Of course, they do reside in the United States. They reside in my district. They're my constituents. But
well, the average Cortez supporter is already on welfare, so this makes sense to me. Claiming illegal aliens are your constituents is like claiming the bank robber just wants to make a withdrawal. It's laughable, but a little bit scary that Cortez is so open about this fact. I mean, trust me, if you need to import people just to support your deranged socialist entitlement programs, you might be retarded. In my opinion, this just further proves how Cortez preys on the entitled. We already know census data has revealed 63% of non-citizens are on welfare, so no wonder Cortez relies so heavily on these entitled losers to fuel her campaign. And finally, her latest blunder appears to be supported by the facts. Cortez's poll numbers are underwater. Even CNN, after trying to make it about Trump, admits a new Gallup poll finds that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a 31% favorable rating and a 41% unfavorable rating. This makes for a negative 10-point net favorability rating. Well, it appears 41% of the people who participated in this poll are American citizens. Even more so, a poll I mentioned previously found that nearly 40% of New Yorkers view Cortez as the villain in the Amazon headquarters exit. Cortez may claim she's for the people and can empathize with their daily struggles, but clearly the people think otherwise. Cortez has demonstrated once again to be a fear-mongering hypocrite, reliant on illegal immigrants and entitlement, and completely detested by the public. Apparently, when I said Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is an idiot, a lot more people agreed with me. Please give this video a like, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks everyone for watching. Peace.
You